Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you and welcome to the Microsoft Fabric UK user group. I'm your host, Leon Gordon, and I'm here with my co-host, Pragati Jain. How are you doing,
Hey
Pragati?
everyone. Hey, I'm good, Leon. How are you?
Yes, fantastic. Thank you. I was just saying to you behind the scenes that it seems like it's been a while since we've been here with all the conferences happening in March.
Yeah, because I think last month was very busy for many of us. So I guess that's why we are here after some time. But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoys today's event.
Oh, absolutely. And you've been hopping the globe a little bit in that time as well, Pragati. Am I right in thinking?
Oh yeah. March was like crazy busy for me as well. I mean, I just went to MVP Summit and Fabric Conference, but still, between those two events, I was doing a lot of stuff around DP600 training and other things internally. So yeah, that was crazy busy for me, 3 weeks. But yeah, I'm back
Absolutely.
now.
That's the main thing, and we're all back in the UK at the moment. Although our speaker tonight is actually joining us from Denmark. So, as always, please do let us know where in the world you're actually joining us from today. We want to get straight into the action today. Like we said, it has been conference season, and today we're going to look at highlights from the Fabric Community Conference with Lars Andersen. So, for those of you who haven't met Lars before, Lars is a program manager on the Fabric Customer Advisory team, so the CAT team at Microsoft. His passion is helping organizations getting insights out of data, and he joined Microsoft in 2014. So we've already wished him happy 10-year anniversary, and he's been working with BI solutions since 1999. So let's welcome Lars with us this evening. Hi, Lars.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
An absolute pleasure. We're really excited and looking forward to tonight's session. And what we'll do is we'll jump straight in. So I'll bring your screen up for us, and then best of luck with the session.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, as was said, my name is Lars Andersen, and I'm today a program manager on Fabric Customer Advisory team, and I joined just before the first release of Power BI was announced at Microsoft. So it has been a great ride for these more than 10 years, and also been on the Fabric journey since it was launched. That has been amazing. So what I'll do for this session here, I will do a recap of what happened or what was announced at the Fabric Community keynote. And preparing for this session today, I knew that we would launch the actual keynote on YouTube, but it's actually available already. So if you want the full 2-hour keynote with all the right speakers or the speakers at stage, then you can go to this URL or look at the Power BI April release blog post. They also have a link to the YouTube video. So before I go into all the announcements that we actually did, I just want to highlight a few things. So first of all, since Fabric was announced in May at Build last year, we have had weekly releases and monthly blog posts with a number of new releases. And then at Ignite in November, we GA'd Fabric in general, and since then we have continued to invest and deliver new features. And as all of you probably know, if you don't, then you can always go to this URL and then see the roadmap for Fabric. It's being updated on an ongoing basis. So you will see what we are planning to build for the next 6 to 12 months. I also want to highlight we have this Fabric Career Hub. So that actually gives you access to a lot of great learning content. So if you are new to Fabric, if you come from the Power BI world, then there is a lot to learn. And then take the opportunity to go in here and learn the skills that you need to be able to build solutions on Fabric. And if you are interested, then you still have 8 more days to do the DP600 exam for free. So that's an opportunity that is for you. And while it's free, you can always take it. And if you fail, then you can retake it at a later point. But this is an option for you until April 19th. So you don't have too much time to study, but try it if you like. And with that, then I will jump into what we actually announced. And Fabric consists of 7 experiences for those of you who don't know, and we had announcements in almost all of them. So this presentation here will be a combination of me talking a little bit, and then I have a number of recorded demos that will actually highlight what we have announced, and some are in preview and some are sneak peeks of, and sneak peeks, that is features that we are still working on building that will be released likely within the next 6 months plus minus. So the first big thing, if you come from Power BI and especially now with Fabric, then things in a workspace in Fabric can be pretty complex. So this is just an example. We have Lakehouses, we have Power BI semantic models, we have Power BI reports, we have notebooks, we have everything. So it can be a big list. And then if we add the different personas that are actually working in the workspaces, then it can be even more complex. So we're very excited to announce that we now have folders available in preview. So this has been a huge ask from the whole community for years in Power BI as well. And it's finally here. And it already rolled out. So if you go into your Fabric tenant today, then you will see the option to add a folder in a workspace. So it's a big thing. Then we have also added a number of new capabilities related to the CI/CD story of Fabric. And this is where I'm going to play the first demo that's going to highlight what we have today and also give you a little insights into what is coming in the future. So let me roll the video here.
We have some new Git supported items to announce, and this is exciting. We're expanding Git integration to include pipelines, warehouses, Spark compute jobs, and environments as items that can work with Git. That's not all. We also want to let you work on your own projects while collaborating with others. That's something we want to do. That's why we're introducing a new way to create branches and workspaces. Simply click on source control and a window will pop out with the option to branch out to a new workspace. Fill out the form by entering your new branch name and your workspace name. In a few seconds, a new workspace will be ready, and all the items from that source workspace, the dev workspace, will automatically sync into this new workspace. Okay, so now let's say I want to make a change. So I have this new branch. I want to make a change to a pipeline, for example. So I make this change, but how do I sync that change not only to my dev workspace, but to all of the workspaces that's, let's say, in a deployment pipeline that I create? All you need to do is head over to DevOps where you'll see a newly created branch. So you see my new feature branch. Let's call this my free feature branch. First thing you want to do is do a comparison. So let's compare my feature branch to, let's say, the dev branch. And now you can see that because it's just in JSON, I can quickly see that I added a new table to the pipeline in my feature branch, and I need to get that all synced up. All I need to do is go back to branches, choose my dev branch, and do a pull request on my dev branch. When I do that pull request, it's going to automatically trigger a few of the new APIs that we are introducing that will easily automate the deployment of content across my dev, test, and prod workspaces. And just like that, I can control how all my changes get deployed. And you can see now that it's synced across all of those phases, just like that. The last thing that we want to do that I want to announce, and this is a little teaser. This is a little teaser for everyone out there. So we've been asking, I've been asking, the community has been asking, hey, when can we get GitHub support? Well, guess what? The team is actively working on bringing GitHub support to our CI/CD end-to-end experience. Just stay tuned. We'll have more announcements about that in the near future.
Good. So that was the first thing here. So building a solution in Power BI needed some CI/CD, and that has been available for a while. But now we actually support many more of the items in Fabric. Another thing that we have a sneak peek on is a concept that we call task flow. I don't have a video on this, but I have a few slides that explains it. So this is about guiding people who need to create solutions in Fabric, and with a task flow, with a flow of what you actually have to do in order to build your solution. So in this example, I have a medallion task flow. So if I zoom in here, the first thing I need to do here is I need to get some data using a pipeline, for instance. So if I click on larger data ingest, then it will launch the pipeline, if that's what I define, and then it will load it into a bronze lakehouse. And from my bronze lakehouse to my silver lakehouse, I need to do some data processing, which in this case is in a notebook. And then I move on to clean and transform my data in another notebook to a golden lakehouse. And then from the golden lakehouse, I can visualize my data using a semantic model and Power BI reports. And I could also create machine learning models. So these task flows is going to help especially new users to have some guidance on what they actually have to do in order to create solutions in Fabric. So a highlight of what we saw so far, the folders in Workspace, a big thing, a lot related to the CI/CD and expansion of the Git integration, and then the task flows here, and then also GitHub support is coming soon. Moving on to another topic, which is top of mind for many customers, if not all customers today in general. So that is to make sure that you are secure and you have governance. And by the launch of Fabric, we already GA'd a number of items here. And a lot of it has been inherited from what was already in Power BI. And we also added a few new things. And then in February, we also launched a public preview of private endpoints at tenant level, and then shortcuts for ADLS Gen 2 storage in VNet. We also have private endpoints on Workspace level on the roadmap, and we expect that to come late this calendar year. We also GA'd the VNet Data Gateway, and that has been in private or in public preview for quite a while, but that's finally available for production usage. Another thing related to security is that a number of industries, they require that the cloud solution has some certifications, and Fabric already has some, and we are working on making all the certifications available for Fabric in the coming month and year. So this is just a high level of the roadmap, and some of this is dependent on the different deadlines there are for the different certifications. So we cannot have all certifications from day one. So I highlight again here that the VNet Data Gateway is generally available. It's something that you configure partly in the Fabric portal and also in Azure with your VNet. And today it supports the data flows Gen 2, Power BI semantic model, paginated reports, and Power Platform data flows. Then we will take a look at some of the improvements that we have been making to the data factory capability in Fabric. So I will roll this next video.
So now let's use Data Flows Gen 2, the next generation of Power BI data flows, to grab our data from our blob storage behind a VNet using a private endpoint. Here, under the Manage Connection and Gateways tab, that same VNet Data Gateway that we saw before is online and running. Now let's navigate to my data flow, which already has a lot of my other data, and bring in the data from my blob store. The setup is seamless and like what you have seen before. Let's hit Get Data and find Azure Blob Storage and create a new Azure Blob connection and fill in all the details. And darn it, I completely forgot to configure it using the VNet Data Gateway, and that's why the connection fails. So let me correctly configure the connection using the data gateway that I had set up earlier. And within a couple of seconds, I can see that I've successfully connected to it using the gateway. I'll bring in some membership data and hit Create. Within just a few simple clicks, I have securely brought in data into the OneLake using the VNet Data Gateway with private links. And now, I want to show you a sneak peek of something that people haven't seen before, and it is the ability to incrementally refresh your data flows. This allows you to refresh your data that has been changed, allowing you to have refresh occur faster. All I have to do to enable this is pick the source that I want to set up incremental refresh on, enable the incremental refresh, and fill in all the required fields. And instantly it's ready. When we publish the data flow, the scheduled refresh will be in place. Incremental refresh is just more reliable, and less data to refresh reduces overall consumption of memory and other resources.
Yeah, so that was the data flows Gen 2, how that works with VNet Gateway, and then a sneak peek on incremental refresh that is coming soon. We also added other capabilities for Data Factory, which has also been released here in public preview, and that is that on data pipelines in Fabric, it now supports on-premises data gateway, and then we have the fast copy activity that has been part of pipelines. That is also a part of data flows Gen 2 now. So let's take another video and see how this works.
This is a machine that I have on premises, and I'm remotely connected to this that is hosting an on-prem SQL server. And I can see that I've already installed the on-prem data gateway. And your gateway just works now. And if you're using Power BI's on-premises data gateway, that same gateway now works as well with data pipelines. We have already configured a new copy activity to copy the data from my on-premises SQL server to the Lakehouse using the on-prem data gateway. We can bring in some purchasing data and integrate it with my existing data already in OneLake. And guess what? Petabytes data ingestion is not only in the copy activity data pipelines, but also is now available in data flows as well, called Fast Copy for Data Flows. And this is now in preview. Let's take an example where a customer already has an existing data flows Gen 2 that processes approximately 10 gigabytes of data. We can leverage that same copy activity in pipelines to copy all my data into data flows. And then I can reapply all those same complex transformations at scale. On the left-hand side, we are running a regular refresh of the data, and it will take about 25 minutes to complete. And on the right-hand side, we have fast copy enabled. And of course, this is heavily sped up. And as you can see, the improvement is dramatic. Now you can copy terabytes and petabytes of data from hours to tens or even less than tens of minutes.
Yeah, so if you have been working with data flows Gen 2 today with large volumes of data, then you may have experienced that it's not the fastest experience, but with fast copy, then we're actually giving you much more power so you can start moving larger volumes of data, and that is available today. Another thing that we have announced in preview is a new activity in pipeline. So you can actually use a new activity to trigger a refresh of your Power BI semantic models, which is something that has been a big ask as well. So that is also available. And a quick summary here of the data factory experiences that we have done. And there are also blog posts that highlights all these things. The only thing that's not available yet is the incremental refresh for data flows Gen 2, which is coming soon. Then moving on to the OneLake part of Fabric, which is like the foundation of Fabric, because all the data that you work with in Fabric is stored in OneLake. We have had shortcuts in OneLake from the beginning, but we have expanded the shortcut portfolio now. So we have announced now and have Google's cloud storage shortcuts in preview, and we also have what's called S3 compatible storage systems shortcuts in preview. And the S3 compatible shortcuts is a standard that is being used by many vendors out there. And that actually means that you're not limited to only being able to use the shortcuts for Azure storage, Amazon storage, or Google storage, but you can actually use it for many more sources. And this is all available today. Then let's take a quick demo of these S3 compatible sources and also something else that we will be launching soon.
But wait, I'm really excited because I have another new shortcut source to show you. You can now shortcut to S3 compatible sources. There are so many storage systems that work with the same S3 API. For example, I can now shortcut to Cloudflare. But I want to show you something even cooler. If you remember, Contoso Outdoors had data in Dell ECS, which is one of those S3 compatible sources. But that data is actually on-premise. So let's see how we can shortcut to that data. First, I click that S3 compatible source. Then all I have to do is create a connection and select an on-premise gateway. Contoso Outdoors already has an on-prem gateway running because it's the same one they have been using for Power BI. So I have some marketing assets images stored on premise that I want to bring into OneLake. With only a few clicks, those images immediately available in OneLake. Remember, one of the great things about shortcuts is that any changes on the source will show up immediately. So for example, let's say you have some new images for a marketing campaign like these. Here we are on premise. We're going to copy those images to the Dell storage system also on premise. Once it's copied, if I go back to the Lakehouse, those images are now there instantly because it's in a shortcut. With that, Contoso Outdoors now has brought together all these data sources, including now GCP and on-prem. And since shortcuts make files and folders look like you have them stored natively in OneLake, I can run SQL queries over this data. I can create semantic models, and I can build Power BI reports with great performance.
Yeah, so the sneak peek here is that we will also have shortcuts that are available to on-premises data sources, but that's not available yet. We also announced that we will have external data sharing. It's not available yet, but that is also something that is coming soon. And this part here is likely coming sooner than some of the others. I have a short demo without voice, so I will be talking to it here. So the starting point is that we have basically two Fabric tenants, and from one tenant, I have been granted access to some data in a foreign tenant. So when I launch the video here, I start in an email. So in this email, I have been invited for data share, and then I have to accept to get access to this data. And then the data that I'm working with now looks like it's in a cloud solution, which it is, but this is in a foreign tenant. So this actually enables you to share data from one Lakehouse in one tenant to a Lakehouse in another tenant, which is also utilizing the shortcut capability. So this is something that will be available soon. Then when we launched Fabric at Build, we were very bold and said that we would have something called OneSecurity. And OneSecurity was not available at Ignite when we GA'd Fabric, and we haven't had anything about OneSecurity yet. But now we have in preview this first pieces of OneSecurity that is called OneLake data access roles. And that's what you see in this animated GIF here, and I also have a short video where I will talk over it as well. So when you're in a Lakehouse, you have the options now to go in and manage a OneLake data access, and then you can define a role, give access to different folders, and then once you have created the roles, then you can give set permission on these roles to individual persons or groups. And then in this case here, we allowed Amir access to one role. So when he accesses this Lakehouse, he will only see the one folder that was part of this role. So this is the first step in the journey of having more capabilities in OneSecurity, and we will see more OneSecurity capabilities coming later this year as well. So a quick highlight of what we went through here for the OneLake part is the shortcuts. We also have shortcut APIs now, and then the data access roles, and shortcuts to on-premises data sources and external data sharing is something that is coming soon. So moving on to the continuing on this one copy for all computes. So we have made a number of enhancements and will make more enhancements coming on the Lakehouse and warehouse experience. So this demo that I'm gonna play in a second here, that covers something that is available now, but also things that will be available in the future. And it relates both to the Lakehouse and warehouse enhancements. So I will roll this video.
So now that we have brought all our data into Fabric using pipelines, shortcuts, and mirroring, let's take a look at how we can work with that single copy of unified data everywhere. To get started, let's jump into the Lakehouse where I can see all my data, whether it's streaming in real time, unstructured PDFs, or Delta tables containing billions of rows. But as we look at our tables here, it would be great to organize them into logical groupings for better organization. The great news is the new schemas capabilities in Lakehouse will let users do just that. So let's go ahead and create a customer schema, and we can see it immediately appear in our Lakehouse Explorer. And now I can just drag and drop my customer table and my customer reviews table directly inside. Let's go ahead and create a second schema. This time, let's create a finance one. And again, we can just organize all our tables, for example, dragging in our inventory table and our transactions table. This allows us to streamline the data management of the Lakehouse, making the data easier to consume. But of course, the Lakehouse comes with a built-in SQL endpoint. So let's take a look at that experience. To recap, the SQL endpoint provides me a full relational data warehouse experience on top of the same Delta tables without any setup needed. And as you can see, my schemas carry over. I've got my customer schema, my finance schema, meaning I get a consistent experience end to end. So now I want to query my data, but instead of jumping into the query view, I'll take a look at a brand new experience, bringing new exploration, collaboration, and operationalization capabilities to all our creators. I'm going to click this new notebook button right over here. So now we have opened a notebook straight from inside the SQL endpoint, and you'll see that the language has defaulted to T-SQL. That's right, we're bringing the power of notebooks to all our T-SQL users as well. So Notebooks provides me with some awesome exploratory capabilities. To start, we can of course seamlessly query the data that is in the Lakehouse, and we get back a data frame we can explore. And I can take this even further and explore the data in a visual way. So let's customize this chart and change it into a column chart. And let's also switch out total price for quantity. And I get a brand new interactive visual directly in line in my notebook. Notebooks also provides me with some pretty cool collaboration features. So let's imagine I need to do some cross-database querying, but I want a colleague to help me with this task. Now, adding the other warehouse I want to work with is pretty easy. All I have to do is open up the OneLake Data Hub, select my sales warehouse, and it immediately pops up in the Object Explorer. But now I'm stuck and need some help. I can easily add a comment inside the notebook, asking for help with the query, and I can even tag my colleague inside. As soon as they receive the notification, they open up the notebook, and I can see their profile show up in the top right-hand corner. And as they start making changes, I can see them taking place in real time inside the notebook. And when they run the cell, I can immediately see the output of their analysis as well. I can even see they've confirmed the query is done and everything is running correctly. And as a final step, Notebooks makes it really easy to decouple all my code from the underlying data. So if I want to just share the code without sharing my Lakehouse or warehouse, I can hit the share button, type my colleague's name, and send them a link to my notebook.
Yeah, so this is some of the new stuff that is coming. Not everything will be available today, but coming soon. We will also be introducing some new capabilities for debugging your Spark, and this next video will show how we can integrate with the Visual Studio Code.
Users can, of course, use Spark to work against the exact same data in OneLake. So let's go ahead and run this notebook, which is also querying the Contoso Outdoors Lakehouse we were just working with using T-SQL. Things start to run immediately thanks to the serverless Spark live pools. But as I run my cell, carrying out some transforms of my Lakehouse data, it looks like I'm hitting an error. Now, typically, if I wanted to debug an issue, I would have to download VS Code on my machine, download the Fabric extension, get everything set up. But now we have simplified this journey greatly. All I have to do is open up VS Code directly from the browser. Everything opens up seamlessly with no setup. And the great news is I can work with my OneLake data here as well. And the even better news is I can now debug my cells directly inside of VS Code Online, dramatically simplifying my experience. So let's add a breakpoint to our cell where we seem to be hitting an issue. And as I rerun this cell, I can see all my local variables here on the side, making it easy to see what's going on behind the scenes. So let's start digging in to see what's going on. I'm going to open up this transactions variable, which represents the data frame I'm processing. And over here, I can see things like my data types, as well as the column schemas. Taking a closer look, it looks like I actually have a typo in one of the column names I'm trying to change. So let's go ahead and fix the issue in our code and rerun our cell. We'll give it a couple of seconds to run. And it looks like everything is running successfully, meaning we were able to resolve the issue. And the great thing is, because everything is happening in the browser, as soon as I jump back into my Fabric notebook, the changes are reflected there immediately without me needing to do anything.
Yeah. Another thing we will be coming to the Spark jobs is some automatic optimization, so that we will actually help you performance tune your Spark jobs. And this will also include some new monitoring capabilities for Spark jobs. And to summarize, we have this Spark AutoTune coming or available, and a new Fabric runtime 1.3 available as well. And then we had this sneak peek of the Lakehouse schemas, the T-SQL notebooks, and the web version of VS Code. So that's something to look forward to in the future. So the next part is about being open at every tier. And what we mean by that is that Fabric, when we launched it, is using open format. So we're using Delta Parquet files, and we can collaborate with whoever are creating those files. But we also have some partnerships, and one of them is Databricks. And this better together story that we have been talking about with Databricks, that's finally here, you can say. So we finally have some this integration working in as a preview feature today. So let me show a demo of how you can integrate Fabric with Databricks today.
Let's take a look at a sneak peek of how we're directly integrating Databricks catalogs into Fabric to make it even easier to unify Databricks data with OneLake. Here we are in Azure Databricks, and one of the catalogs we have here is for customer support with a schema for support cases. It has 3 tables for calls, cases, and customers. Let's see how we can integrate this data into OneLake. If I switch over to Fabric and navigate to the data engineering workload, I can see the option to create a new Databricks catalog item. If I select it, I'm given the option to select my Azure Databricks workspace, and from here I can configure the new Databricks catalog item in Fabric with just a couple of clicks. Once I'm connected to the workspace, I can add a full catalog, a schema, or even individual tables. I can navigate through the catalogs to the schema we were looking at earlier in Azure Databricks, and I can select the data I want. And just like that, we've set up a shortcut so all the tables in the schema now appear in Fabric. We can use this data just like other data in OneLake. So I could write SQL queries or use it with any other workloads in Fabric, including Power BI in Direct Lake mode. Best of all, the data is always in sync. When tables are added, removed, or renamed in Databricks, or when the data is modified in Databricks tables, these changes will instantly show up in Fabric. Let's go back to Databricks and see this in action. For example, I'll add a new customer record. Now, if I switch back to Fabric, I'll see that automatically my changes are showing up in OneLake as we see here. This new integration makes it simple to unify Databricks data in OneLake and seamlessly use it across every Fabric workload.
Yeah, so we will see that the integration is actually becoming alive in the product soon. Another thing about the openness and integration to other is the databases and OneLake. And at Ignite, we announced the private preview of mirroring of databases. And today we actually have these mirroring of databases in public preview. And we have mirroring for Snowflake, for Azure SQL Database, and Azure Cosmos DB. And we have more databases on the roadmap that we will support going forward. But this is all available today so that you can easily integrate whatever you have in your existing infrastructure into Fabric without doing the transformation workloads in Fabric, but just connect to the database that you're using. So the next part here is more familiar to those of you who work with Power BI, because Power BI is also a major part of Fabric, and we also have a number of improvements in that area. So the first one is about how to use the data visualizations, and you may know that we are on a journey where we are modernizing and making all the data visualizations in Power BI better. And with the April release of Power BI, we also launched a new visual, which you will also see in this demo.
Power BI's amazing reports are key to visualizing the OneLake data using those direct lake semantic models I was talking about earlier. Let's take a sneak peek at the continued efforts we're making in Power BI visuals. The very popular matrix visual now includes some new layouts to align with business users' expectations. Let's take a look. So let's go ahead and choose the tabular layout. Now we see the headers are repeated in each column. I can now also choose not to repeat the headers and simply see them side by side. And I can even add in a blank row as spacing between the sections. And down here, I have a stacked area chart, highlighting the green product color I selected over in the new button slicer under the bike. All the line charts not only have smooth curves available, but now included ways to further customize those curved lines. And speaking of stacked charts, I want to show the distribution in a 100% stacked chart. Currently, we only give the 100% stacked charts in bars or columns, but let's take a sneak peek at a brand new visual coming to Power BI. Back over to my stacked area chart, I can now make this into the brand new 100% stacked area chart. This is in addition to all the recent and upcoming updates to expand the visual's capabilities with overlay, transparency, detailed data labels, and even visual calculations to quickly and easily empower your business users to always have exactly what they need to get the job done.
Yeah, so the enhancement you saw to the table visual, they are not there yet, but they're coming. Another thing about Power BI and the major thing about Power BI when we launched Fabric is the semantic modeling and the new connectivity mode that we call the Direct Lake. And we have some enhancements coming for these semantic models as well. So one of the things is today when you want to create a semantic model with Direct Lake, then you can either use Lakehouse or Warehouse, but we will actually be bringing this capability to all the workloads in Fabric. And this demo will show how that looks like.
I'm going to show you a sneak peek of how easy we're making it to create direct lake semantic models on top of any data you have in the OneLake. I simply create a new semantic model and pick from all OneLake data sources I have access to. I am not limited to just lakehouses or warehouses. I can pick tables from anywhere they are in the OneLake. K-curl databases, mirrored SQL databases, even import semantic models with OneLake integration. I just pick the OneLake data source, the tables I want, and now I'm making a semantic model to build beautiful data visualizations and to share insights. I'm making this Direct Lake semantic model directly in the web. The web modeling experience has had a lot of amazing improvements that work not only on Direct Lake semantic models, but also other published semantic models as well. I can rename my tables and columns so my business users can find them and use them easily in reports. I can define the relationships between tables so they can just simply use the columns without having to worry about joins. And not only by dragging and dropping in the diagram or in the relationship editing dialog, but now also directly in the Properties pane from the Model Explorer. I can even aggregate columns and measures with defined business logic, such as how we compare our measures over time and how we define our key metrics. These measures can even be discovered and reused in the Metrics Hub, which I'll show you a bit later. The Model Explorer here also gives me full visibility to everything I can and what I've already defined in the semantic model that will be used to build many amazing reports to visualize my data, as well as unlock ad hoc analysis across all of Fabric. We have also heard you loud and clear that while the web experience is amazing, you don't want to lose the ability to edit Direct Lake semantic models, like any other Power BI semantic model, in Power BI Desktop. Here I'm going to show you a sneak peek of live editing a Direct Lake semantic model in Power BI Desktop. I am in Power BI Desktop, and I can simply go to the OneLake Data Hub and pick the Direct Lake semantic model. The Connect button, which has always allowed me to create a report on any published semantic model, now also gives me the option to live edit. This is amazing. The data is still in the OneLake. I've not moved it. The semantic model is still in the workspace, not locally running on my machine. And I can edit it in Power BI Desktop, just like I can with any Power BI semantic model. Again, I have my Model Explorer here where I can see and define any of the semantic model objects. Now I'm live editing the Direct Lake semantic model in Desktop. I can, for the first time, use DAX Query View to write DAX queries directly on the OneLake data. Not only do DAX queries allow me to view the data in the OneLake, but I can use its functionality to create those amazing measures to aggregate and apply business logic to my data, try them out without creating visuals, and then simply add them to my semantic model, all with a DAX query editor with many additional features such as formatting queries and changing all occurrences that you may have seen in other code editors such as VS Code. It's amazing to still have access to Power BI Desktop and DAX Query View when live editing Direct Lake semantic models.
Yeah, so what you saw here was using multiple sources from Fabric to semantic models, and also the capability that is coming to edit your Direct Lake semantic models in Desktop. So we are working on building more capabilities in the web modeling experience, also to create models from scratch. But Power BI Desktop is not going away. We are still heavily investing in new features for Power BI Desktop as well. So the last thing here, directly related to Power BI and to semantic models, is a new thing that was briefly mentioned in the previous demo, something that we call Metrics Hub. And that is the ability to be able to reuse metrics or measures across your organizations without having to reinvent or rewriting measures in different models. So let me show you how that's going to look like. And this is also a sneak peek of something that is coming.
Power BI enables you to create incredibly rich semantic models. But with all this power, it's very common for semantic models to become quite complex. Take this sales workforce insights model for Contoso Outdoors as an example. When I scroll through the measure, I see a lot of stuff that probably only the model creator is going to understand. If someone else in my organization wanted to use the data related to just one measure in the model, sharing the entire model with them isn't very efficient, and I might not want to share the entire model with them anyway. To help solve this problem, we're making a huge enhancement to the Metrics Hub in Fabric. This new Metrics Hub creates a clean and easy to navigate layer for sharing specific metrics from your semantic models. To do this, you can create metric sets, which group relevant metrics from one or more of your semantic models. Here you can see the metric sets I have access to, and I can search or filter, including filtering down to just the metric sets that are endorsed in my organization. Let's open this sales team metric set to take a look. Here I can see the specific metrics I might want to reuse in my own analysis. I can quickly click through each of the metrics, see their value and additional metadata, and I also have options to start using the metric directly integrated into other Fabric artifacts. But first, I want to show you just how easy it is to set this up. I have permissions to edit this metric set, so let's switch into edit mode and create a new metric. All I have to do is select the semantic model where my metric is coming from. Now I can select the measure I want to use from the model. Again, you can see there's a lot of extraneous stuff in the model, and in this case, I only want to share the attrition rate measure. The first thing I can do is give it a more friendly name and description, so other people in my organization can quickly understand what this is, and in this case, it's only our bad attrition. Even better, I can control what supporting dimensions others are going to see. I can select the date dimension, and I can set the default visual that other people will see for the metric. But I can also select other columns, which will set the scope that others will see when they want to use the metric. This allows me to hide the unneeded complexity of the model to make reuse much more streamlined. Let's switch back to view mode to see what other people in my org will get when this metric set is shared with them. Here you can see the columns we selected, which will limit the scope people see, and they can quickly explore the metric using the new Explore experience from Power BI, where they could filter the data and play with any visualizations. And with one click, they could create a new report. And this is really cool. I can also get a snippet of Python code to directly reference the metric in a notebook. We're also working on integrations, so I can join the metric set back into other semantic models. But again, remember, I'm not copying any data. This is just a way to streamline and control how people access and reuse measures across Fabric. So now I can share the metric set directly to others so they can reuse the contents of my semantic model without the need to be experts in everything about the model. This is just a sneak peek of our first round of new Metrics Hub features, but we're incredibly excited to make it way easier to enable reuse of measures from semantic models everywhere in Fabric.
Yeah, so when this is coming later this year, then you should be able to get a much higher reuse of all your metrics and measures you have created across your organization. So I think this is something that personally I look very much forward to. So this is a overview of these features that we have been through on the Power BI side. So improvements to visuals, auto layout for mobile reports. We didn't see that in a demo, but that has also been in a preview recently, and so on. And then sneak peek of some of the things that are coming soon. Then the last part here is going to be on the Copilot capabilities in Fabric. We already launched some Copilot capabilities in Fabric. We basically announced the public preview that started rolling out in Ignite, but now we have more to share. And the first one here I'm going to do a demo on here is Copilot for data warehousing. So if you are a T-SQL person, then you can get some more help now. So let's take a look at what this is about.
We're integrating Copilot everywhere in Fabric to help everyone both upskill and become more productive with data. I'm excited to share a few new Copilot experiences in Fabric that are coming to public preview. First, we're adding a Copilot for data warehousing. Here I am in a data warehouse, and I can open up the Copilot task pane right away. I could ask questions here, but we're also integrating Copilot contextually in the experience as well. For example, there are a few shared queries in the database that I didn't create, and I don't really understand what they do. Now I can just ask Copilot to explain the query, and it adds comments letting me know what's going on. In this case, the query is calculating average fare amounts for each day of the week. Copilot can also help me with SQL I'm trying to write. I've been trying to get a query working to calculate the top 10 cities in my data with the hottest weather, but I'm getting an error. Fortunately, I can ask Copilot to fix my query with just one click, which it does by adding a halving condition to part of the query. And now my query runs with no issue. Of course, I can also use Copilot to help me write queries from scratch. Let's ask for a new query to bucket trips by how big the tip was for each trip. And just like that, I have the SQL code for the query, and I can run it to see the results. I can also ask support questions relative to Fabric, such as understanding my security options for this database. And I get a rich natural language result to help me understand all of my options. And finally, I can work right in the query editor, and Copilot will help with suggesting code based on my comments. For example, here I'm looking for the busiest holiday based on total rides. With a click, I can accept the Copilot suggestion and run the query. And now I have the results. As you can see, Copilot in Data Warehouse is a great way to both help upskill individuals as well as being a huge boost in productivity.
So this is what's coming to the data warehousing experience for Copilot. And remember, the term Copilot means that you are still the person who is in charge. So Copilot is there to help you, but you will still be the person who is actually doing the work. But Copilot in all experiences in Fabric can both help you do your work and also help educate you. So if you are new to T-SQL, then this is also a great learning experience. We also actually, with the release of Power BI Desktop for April, now have Copilot in Power BI Desktop, and I also have a short demo of this.
Next, I want to show you how Copilot is coming into Power BI Desktop. Within Desktop, Copilot is being built in to help with tasks across modeling, report authoring, and finding insights. Let's start by taking a look at how Copilot can help me work with the DAX language in my semantic model. To start, let's switch over to the new DAX query view. Now, DAX can be a complicated language, and in this case, I've opened up a model that I didn't create, so there's lots of DAX measures here I don't necessarily understand. For example, there is this adjusted net sales measure that I might want to get up to speed on. This is a great task for Copilot. If I look at the measure and where it's referenced in the model, I can just ask Copilot, what do these measures do? And Copilot will look at the measures in the model and then provide a rich natural language description of the DAX. I can expand this and scroll down and see a good summary that explains what each measure is doing. And I can also ask Copilot for help getting started with DAX in general, such as asking what is the difference between sum and SUMX. But I can also use Copilot to just simply take some of the drudgery out of writing DAX. I could ask to see all of the analysis DAX measures by product. This isn't a hard DAX to write, but it would take some time. Instead, with Copilot, I have the code in seconds. And of course, I can use Copilot to write my own DAX measures as well. I always struggle to create ranking functions in DAX, so let's ask Copilot to define a new measure to rank products by the lowest return rate. And just like that, Copilot has defined the measure with great comments so I can see what's going on, and I can execute the measure and see the results. So Copilot in the DAX query view is a huge boost to my productivity, but we're also bringing Copilot for report authoring into Desktop as well. With Copilot, I can ask general questions about what's in my data, as well as to ask for suggestions on what type of report pages I might want to add. Let's use this first suggestion, but I'm going to adjust the prompt slightly to see performance across different stores over time with net sales, units sold, and return rates. And just like that, Copilot has built a full Power BI report page for me with the data I requested. This is a great starting point to making edits here in Desktop, and I can quickly ask for additional pages. Let's get a page to compare net sales and return rates. And Copilot wants a little more info, so I'm going to ask for by store and over time, and again, in moments I have another report page. Fabric is just getting going with these Copilot integrations, but as you can see, with Copilot everywhere in Fabric, we can uniquely accelerate everyone's productivity with data, and we're excited to bring even more capabilities to you soon.
Yeah, so these capabilities you saw here, they are all available with the April release of Power BI Desktop. The last Copilot for Power BI is for the consumer experience, and this is also going to highlight some of the things that are coming soon.
We are also delivering a new Copilot experience in Power BI optimized to help end users consume reports and find insights. You've seen how we can use Copilot to author semantic models and reports, but this time I'm opening a Power BI app for our customer loyalty program where I go to consume reports and data provided to me by my organization. This same experience is also available in view mode for reports. So now as a consumer, in addition to browsing my data, I can chat with Copilot about the data as well. When I open up Copilot, to get started, I have a few suggested prompts, but in this case, I know specifically what I need. My boss just asked for an update on new loyalty member additions this month. So let's ask for 5 high-level bullet points summarizing what's new in the last month for me to send to them. When I submit the prompt, Copilot takes a look at the exact same data I'm looking at, so it only sees the data that I can see. And pretty quickly, it comes back with some useful data points right from the report. This is all pretty straightforward, taking numbers from the report page, but actually, I'd like a little bit more info to send my boss. Fortunately, this is a full chat experience, so I can just follow up
and ask for the total values for each bullet point as well. And just like that, Copilot has scanned the data and updated the previous response and cited where in the report it got each new insight from. This is a huge time saver. Instead of me manually copying this information out of the report, Copilot can do it in seconds, and I can chat with it to tailor the response. We've got a button right here to copy the info, and just like that, I'm ready to reply to my boss. But I can ask a bit more complicated questions as well. I see there's a bit of a difference between new members and all active members in terms of where they come from. I'd really like to see the percentage breakdown of each source, but that's not how the report was designed. Now I can just ask Copilot to help me out. Let's ask what % of new members are coming from each source. In a few seconds, Copilot has given me the data, and I can see that apps is the source for over 70% of our new loyalty members. That is a lot different than from our existing members, and I'd like to compare the sources for new versus existing. Let's ask a follow-up in chat to ask Copilot to build on the last response and add the source percentage for all active members. Because this is chat, Copilot understands the context and goes ahead and updates the previous response and includes the new data in the table. This would have taken me quite a bit of time to do manually, and Copilot did it in seconds. And now I have some additional insights I can send to my boss or just have more data I can work with. Finally, my boss is also always asking me about the growth rate. So let's just ask Copilot for the year-over-year growth rate for new members. This time, Copilot is doing a bit more analysis on the data to give me a table with the year-over-year growth for all of the data we have by each year. Chatting with Copilot is actually pretty fun, and you can certainly push it to try to do lots of different things, as you can see. This is in preview, so it's always good to double-check Copilot's math, but for navigating data in a report, this is a huge time saver, and we're really excited for everyone to get their hands on it.
Yeah, so this part is actually already in preview. I was mistakenly said it was coming soon. So my last demo, and we're almost at time here, is something that is not available yet, and that is the ability to create some custom generative AI for your own data, and that's something that is coming to Fabric soon. So let me run this last demo.
So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of one of the ways you're going to be able to bring custom generative AI to your data in Fabric. Let's create a new Fabric item. And this name isn't final, and it will probably change, but for now it's called an AI skill. And let's see what it does. I'm going to name it Loyalty Member Support Insights, because what I want to create is a custom generative AI tool where I can ask questions about loyalty members and customer support cases for those members. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my data from OneLake. I can just select a Lakehouse, and now I can select the specific tables I want the generative AI to have access to. And that's it. That's all the setup I need to do. And now I can start asking questions. Let's ask how many support calls we've had from loyalty members, but break it down from the source the loyalty member joined from. Now, behind the scenes, we use our AI models to generate a SQL query and give an answer. Now, this is a little different than Copilot and Power BI, because the goal here is to let you put generative AI directly on your data and then integrate it into your own custom solution. For example, giving your own custom AI solutions the ability to interact with your enterprise data. And the skill is really just focused on what it knows, which in this case is Contoso Outdoors loyalty members, data, and support cases. Let's ask another question. Who is the most recent loyalty member to make a support call? And the answer is Angelina Schlitz. This is a good answer, but I'd like it to include some supporting info. This is where I can add some notes for the model on how I want it to behave. I'm going to tell it to include some additional columns when responding about loyalty members. Now let's rerun the query. And this time the answer is bringing in the additional info. Now let's ask for all the support calls from Angelina. And here's a list of the calls. Now let's break down all of her cases by where they came from. And here's the breakdown. Now let's do one more question. Let's ask for our top 10 loyalty members. And this time it actually got it wrong. It just listed the members because it didn't know what to use for ranking them. If I quickly look at the data that's in the table I can see I have a column for lifetime spending. Let's give the model a note to use this column when asking about a top or ranking for members. And now we can get the correct answer. So finally, once I'm happy with the results, I can go ahead and publish this out. And right now in the sneak peek, it gives me an endpoint I can use to send questions to. But this is really an ideal fit for integrating this capability into other RAG-based AI orchestration options to give them access to your data in Fabric. Hopefully this has given you an idea of how you can bring custom generative AI to your data in Fabric.
Yeah, and with that, a quick overview of these Copilot capabilities. And the last part is that's a sneak peek, so that's something you will have to wait for a little bit. That brings me to the end of my session. Just want to highlight that we already have the dates for the next Fabric conference, which is April 1st to 3rd, 2025, and it's also happening in Las Vegas next year. And with that, I'm done with my session here. I don't know if there are any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Lars. Absolutely amazing session there, going through all the new features, functionality that we can expect in Fabric and beyond. So thank you very much for your time. Unfortunately, as we're at time this evening, we won't be able to take any questions, but we would recommend to all of the community to please reach out directly to all of us to be able to answer those questions for you. So I'd like to thank you, Lars, and also thank you, Pragati, for helping us co-host this evening. And most importantly, thank everybody for joining us as part of the Microsoft Fabric UK user community.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Lars.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.